All right, am I live? Should be live. We'll see. See what happens. First time streaming in a while on this channel, so how do I go to my live sections? Here we go. Cool. All right then. Let me just check the audio here. See how it's looking. All right then. Let me just check the audio here. All right, appears to be working well. Cool. All right, so I'll be working on the on my game jam here just for an hour or two on the stream. And the idea essentially is that there's just this little guy that is going to throw dice at enemies. And the enemies, instead of having a traditional health bar, they have a dice indicator over their head, and that indicates which numbered dice, or die rather, that you need to throw at them to kill them. So yeah, that's the idea. It's in a very rough state right now, obviously. It's only been a couple of hours of work, so the next thing that I'm going to work on is making the player being able to see what dice they're throwing, and then obviously changing the dice value that's being thrown. So anyway, let's go ahead and work on that. So what do I want to do? I think I'm going to use I'll just copy what I did for my health bar component, which is just a margin container. And actually, I wonder if I could just use this. No, I probably shouldn't. It's just a margin container. Maybe what I can do is, let me create a new component for this. I'll just call it a magazine component. So we'll do a new scene. Let's do a margin container. We'll set the minimum size on this to 200 in the X. Or that's the size. We need minimum size. Min size. There we go. And we're going to call this the magazine component. Magazine as in gun, not magazine as in publication. Magazine component. All right. So, and then we're going to add an HBox container. And then we're going to have, do I want to do texture rect? The problem with using control nodes for this kind of thing is that I might want to animate everything. And I think that's going to be a lot more difficult if I'm using control nodes. But I guess what I can do instead is I can just add a control here. And I can say, I want this to be... Dang, this is going to be hard. I'll make it 32 by 32, like minimum size. And then can I add a sprite and have that work just fine? Let's see. Problem is that this sprite is not going to be centered. Now, what I could do is actually... Yeah, I want this sprite to be centered, so I actually don't know how I'm going to do that. I probably have to change this type to something like a... I don't know, I always like to use margin containers for this kind of thing. Change this to a margin container. And then we change this to a control node. Or add a control node, rather. Add a control node which has no size flags enabled, except for... Actually, we want shrink center on both. There we go. And then we can put the sprite as a child of the control. And then I believe we can reset the transform. There we go. So that's how we could potentially get, you know, some centered dice there. I really don't know if that's going to be a good idea, though. Or if it'd be better off just handling that with code. I'll try it this way first. Hello, YouTuber extraordinaire. Welcome to the stream. Trying out something new tonight. My bitrate is lower than the recommended bitrate. Oh boy. All right. Let me try this. Sorry for the stream glitches. I will fix that. I don't know. Does it look okay? If it looks fine, then Oh, it looks fine. Why is it giving me a warning? It looks just perfectly fine. All right. I'm just being efficient with my bandwidth. All right. So the magazine component. Yeah, I really don't know how I want to handle this because this is going to be very tricky. Well, we'll start it this way first, and then if I need to animate it later, which I will need to animate it later, then we'll have to do that. What is going on? Minimum size is 12. It keeps resetting. Oh, this HBox container. Yeah, I need to reset this too. Okay. Hey, top 10 anywhere? You're welcome. I'm glad you're getting some use out of that course. Happy to hear. Always happy to hear when people are getting a lot out of it. So thanks for letting me know. And yeah, for anyone else that might be watching now or in the future, the link to that Udemy course is in the description. So check it out if you want to learn how to build a platformer in the Godot engine. Oh boy. I don't know if I like where this is going. I need to center this. Let's see. Center. Okay. Okay. So the idea is that this will be like a little bullet in the magazine, and then as you add more, it'll automatically expand and stay centered. That's why I'm using control nodes for this. But the problem is that it creates some weirdness. Like if I duplicate, it suddenly gets large again for some reason. UI is not the friendliest thing to do in Godot. Unfortunately. Where's my size flags? Okay, I think it's because I had fill enabled on those. There we go, finally. Okay, so I'm getting somewhere. So let's do theme override. We're going to change this separation on the HBox container to 0. And it looks like these are 1 pixel larger than they need to be. So let's change this. Minimum size 11. Do I need to change the sprite too? Nope. Huh. All right. Well, I guess okay. That looks fine, actually. Sweet. Okay, so this is the magazine component. I'm probably going to have to save. I'm just going to call them bullets. Why not? So I'm going to save this branch as a scene. This is going to be my bullet. Excellent. So we got the magazine component. Okay. Yeah, this is, I don't know how I'm going to handle this. So basically what I want is so the theme is roll of the dice, and I want the player to have 4 or 5 dice that are like randomly shuffled, so to speak, into this sort of repository or this container so that the player can see what, here, I'll show the game. So the player can see what dice they're throwing. So I've got like a little mock-up here. So the player is going to have like this little indicator that tells them what dice are up next. And the whole concept of the game is that the enemies, instead of having traditional health, you're going to have to hit them with a dice that matches, or a die rather, that matches the one that's above their head. So in this case, I would have to hit the guy with a number 4 die in order for him to die. So that's what the idea is, but I'm trying to build a way for the player to be able to see what dice are up next in the queue, and so then the player can shoot enemies with them. And I don't know if I'm going to regret implementing this as control nodes or not, because I do want to add some juicy animations to this particularly, so we'll see what happens, I guess. I would say we could always refactor it later, but we're working on a 48-hour time limit here, so there's only so much you can refactor in 48 hours, so you kind of have to make good choices early. Oops. Just removed my script. All good. Oh, this is being... Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Magazine component. Okay, so what do I want the methods? Is this going to be... This is probably going to have to be purely UI. I'm probably going to store the actual queue on the player or something. So what I probably want to do then is... Let's start building out the player signals that are going to be used here. So we have a signal, it's going to be like dice shuffled, or let's call it loaded. Let's just use a gun analogy. We'll just call it dice loaded. Dice fired. I guess that's all right. Okay, so let's create a list. So we got the dice queue. And let's see. So the dice queue, dice loaded. Okay, so on ready, we probably want to call like a load dice method here. Load dice. And let's just say private const int max dice. We'll just set that to 4 for now. That might be a problem later, but do a classic for loop. And let's just, for safety purposes, we're going to clear the dice queue. Okay, dice queue. I'm actually going to stop here. I'm going to create a utility. So let's create a new folder. And we're going to create a new C# class. We're going to call it dice utilities. And this is just going to be static stuff, so... Game.utils. Oh, I called it utils, not utilities. Public static class dice utilities, and then I want to say, okay, public int get random die, and this is just going to return math util random number generator rand I range. And currently I'm not going into the 6 range, and I might actually limit it to 4. Let me try 4 first. So get random die return. This has to be static. So I know dice are 6-sided typically, but I think for gameplay purposes, I'm just going to make them 4-sided. And then my enemy, or rather my health component here, I'm going to replace this with my dice utilities get random die. So if I'm calling this from everywhere that needs to get a random die, then I'm making sure that everything's consistent. And when I change it in one place, it changes everywhere else as well. So that's why I extracted there. So then I can say my dice queue for the player magazine, I can add dice utils dot get random die. So I'm going to load up 4 random die, and then I'm going to emit the signal. Yeah, this is probably going to be a nightmare to animate this thing, but that's all right. Okay, so the magazine component now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make an assumption that the owner is the player, so we could just say if owner is not player, we'll just return out of that, is not player. Okay, player.connect, name of player.dice loaded. This, name of on dice loaded. Cool. Okay, so we got the on dice loaded here. I suppose I'm probably going to need to know what the dice are, right? Oops. We'll just do an int array for now. So on dice loaded, we are going to want to, I'm going to use a resource preloader to load that bullet scene that I created. So we're going to instance a bullet. And did I create, I didn't create a class for that. So let's just go ahead and create a class. Sweet. Game.ui, that's a new one. Okay, so now I can use game.ui. Cool. And what is our root here? HBox container. Okay, so hey, AnyKey, what's up? Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Okay, so this is an interesting one. Just gonna go ahead and add that. Okay, and my dice utilities, let's just call something like public static string get dice texture. End of the week, time to time to push to prod. Oh, you pushed to prod at the end of the week, huh? That's risky business there. But yeah, it is good to be at the weekend finally. I guess I can return a texture out of here. It doesn't really need to be just the string. Cool, so this is going to give us our dice texture. And then I might as well replace it over here in the health bar component. Cool. All right, so what was I doing over here on my magazine component? Let's see. Oh, right. Okay. So my bullet is a margin container with a sprite. Cool. All right. I'm seeing how I laid this out. I should have, yeah. Should know how I'm doing my own stuff. Dice utilities, get dice texture. Boom. Okay. So if all went well, I think this should pretty much be working now. Bullet, set die. All right then. I think that this is pretty much set up. So let's go ahead and drop that component on. Oh, nope. There's one thing I missed, which is that I need to add a resource preloader. It's a good tip for anyone watching for Godot. If you find yourself needing references to lots of packed scenes, you can either use an export variable, which I've seen people do, but the problem is with export variables, I find that when you're using them to configure packed scenes, they don't change all that often, and so they're just kind of like cluttering the editor. So what I do is I create a resource preloader node, and then I drop my scenes into that. And then this is just like a nice little repository of all of the packed scenes that I want to load. And then I created a helper method in C#, but it's fairly easy to do in GDScript too, where you just instance a scene from that resource preloader. So just if you want to have a better way of loading up your packed scenes or storing references to your packed scenes for other scenes. So here I wrote this helper method instance scene or null, which will use the type name as the lookup key. So in here, this says bullet here. So that's the key that you would reference the resource that's in here by. And the C# extension that I wrote uses the type name as the key. So it becomes really clean, instance scene or null. And if it can't find the key, it'll just silently fail and it won't leak any memory or anything by creating a reference or creating a node rather, instancing a scene, whatever the... The lack of export variables is annoying when trying to use C#. What do you mean by that? There are some issues that I think still exist with exporting certain types from C#, but yeah, I would appreciate if you elaborate on that specifically, because I don't know if I'm entirely sure what you're referring to. Okay, so I think everything's ready to go now, so I can do my magazine component here, and it hasn't loaded anything, but if I'm calling load dice on the player ready here, let's see. Dice, it's going to call that dice loaded, perfect. And then when I emit signal, okay, dice fired, and then I want to remove the first item from the list. I guess we'll see. Maybe I should just make this like an actual queue, because I can do that in C#. Cool. You couldn't list export vars in the C# script and have them accessible in the editor. Ah. Yeah, I don't know if that's still a problem, because I'm using export variables in several places already in this game jam entry. And there's no problem. So if you used it quite a while ago, I'm sure that was a problem. I was trying to use C# in this way back when it was like alpha version. And that was an interesting experience. It was very broken, but it was fun. So the die number, dice fired. Okay, so DQ should remove, yeah. I'm not using that yet, but let's see if this works. And I have a feeling it's either going to or it's not going to. Oh, QInt does not contain a definition for add. Oh, that's right, because it's NQ. Okay, so it looks like my first one is number 1, number 4, number 2, and number 4. And shooting all of them results in an error. Invalid operation exception Q empty. Oh, right. Okay, I'm going to create a method here that's going to shoot the bullet. Shoot die. So we can emit the dice fired here. Oh, your day job is C# and SQL? Cool, cool. Hey, what's up? Das Chala, if that's correct. Yeah, I think I recall Godot Sharp being very weird around the 3.0, 3.1 era. So yeah, definitely give it a try. I'm on release candidate 6, 3.5. So it's working just fine. Classwork, huh? Das Chala, what are you studying? I tell you what, I do not miss the days of classwork. Instead, I have work. Always working. So when I shoot the die, what goes on here? Oh, I need to check if the queue is empty. So if dice queue dot empty, how do I do? Is there like an is empty, or do I just do count? CS, nice. That's one of the best ones you could do. I might be biased, but can't go wrong with a CS degree. So if the queues count, we want to load dice. Okay, and what I also don't have is I don't have the bullet that's actually shot getting the number. So public int die number. Cool. Doing a project in C for an OS class. Oh, yes, I had to do that as well. I actually took, my degree was in game development, the technical side of game development. So I still had to do some of the CS stuff, but I got to escape a lot of the harder theory classes because my degree didn't call for it. But yeah, we also did a OS. That was not fun. Some people loved it. I had a few classmates that like got super into it, and I was just like, oh, can this please be over? Will you, oh, nice, David. Wow, we got so many CS smarties in the chat. You guys, either of you, do you have to write a compiler later on as well? We had to write a compiler for this language called Shakespeare, which I don't know if that's like a universal exercise that every university does, but it was basically just like an old English Shakespeare play that was technically a computer program that we had to parse. And yeah, that was very difficult as well. We had to do the parsing number one, and then the compilation down into like an actual executable file that could actually run the script, so to speak. All right, let's see if this works. Something's very wrong. Oh no. Yeah, that's true, Aniki, that's true. A Boolean is to be or not to be. Excellent. Something's very wrong. I suppose I should probably check my errors first. Oh, dice 0. Why is it loading dice 0? Did I do my utilities wrong? Dice utilities. Yep. It's got to start at 1. My dice are not 0 indexed, so don't come at me for that. All right, let's see what the next thing is. Okay, so I think the thing that I'm missing is I am missing the removal of the dice after I shoot them, which I should be able to do in the, yeah, in here. So we're going to connect to that signal. Player.dice fired. This name of on dice fired. And what I'm going to do is, I think I can just get the first child. If the child count's greater than 0, then we're going to say hbox container get child at 0 queue free. I still don't know if this is in the right order though. I don't think it is. Yeah, because the queue is first in, first out, but this is not a queue. The tree structure is not a queue, so I have to like reverse it, I think. To be or not to be, yep. Love it. Oh, wow. I should also mention that I'm very tired, so that's my excuse for any bad code you might witness during the stream. So the tree is not a queue, so I think every time I add a new bullet, I have to add the child to the beginning. So can I do like add child, whatever. Can I say bullet dot move child? Nope. Okay, so I can do hbox container move child. I'm going to move, wait, if I move every child to the first index, is that going to be the correct order? So, okay, so the queue is first in, first out. So I'll have dice 1, 2, 3, and 4, for example. And then let's say that I need to iterate over that and add them into the tree. So I'm going to say add child 1, move it to position 0. It's already in position 0. Add child 2, move it to position... Yeah, that'll work. And then it will be... Wait, am I thinking about this totally wrong? Fight tired with coffee. Oh, that's very tempting. I actually have some tea right here. It's iced tea that I'm drinking, so I don't think it's as potent as coffee typically would be, but it's something. All right, well, I'm not going to do anything yet, so I'm just going to see what happens here. Okay. Oops, there's the guy. You haven't seen C# in Godot being coded in action. Does it have access to all the same built-in functions? It does, though I was just talking with Aniki, and I'm not clear at the moment if there's still some weirdness with C#. I haven't personally experienced any on the latest version of Godot, So I haven't had any problems with it. So for what that's worth, and I do a lot of my game development in C Sharp. Sometimes I'll use GDScript, but I haven't personally had any problems with it. And even if you do lose access to something or something's weird, the benefit of being able to use NuGet packages and write extension methods, as well as having the whole C Sharp type system, is just so much of a benefit that it's like, even if I'm missing something, I'm not going to, switch back to GDScript because of that, as long as there's a workaround, I suppose. The only thing about C Sharp that's a pain is when you're working with multiple people, because then you have to configure everyone's machines to be able to run the game from the editor, and that can be a real hassle, especially if you're working with somebody that's not familiar with development. So that's one of the downsides. I typically, when I work with my artist friend, we will typically work in GDScript just because it's easier. You can just click play and it runs, It's actually a mono interpreter, so you could use... Oh, I believe, yeah, that is true. Yeah. Yeah. I've been wanting to try... Well, to be honest, I want to get on creating another Udemy course for Godot 4 to be one of the first people out with that, but it's like I can't really start on that yet because the fact that it's such early alpha, and I'm worried that I'm going to make all this content and then it's going to be outdated. Maybe when like later betas start to roll around, I can start putting together some content, but yeah, it's still very early. Apparently beta is supposed to come out like, they said next month, and no offense, but I don't believe that. From what I've seen, it's just so rough. But maybe beta just means no new features and everything's got to get fixed up. Doesn't necessarily indicate the usability of the engine at that point, right? So yeah, exactly. Soon, trademark. So I have no idea if this is working or not. And I could like make a bunch of debug tools and print some things, but instead I'm just going to slow the projectile way down so I can see what number is what number it's using for its texture. Okay, we're set it to speed of 10, and also on ready, what I probably need to do, die number, should probably make this a setter. The reason I'm making this a setter is so that I can just immediately set the texture whenever I change that property. So yeah, so I'll grab the sprite. The other thing is if yeah, release projections, exactly. Feature freeze. Okay, yeah. So in that case, it makes sense. Like a feature freeze doesn't mean it's gonna work any better than it does, right? It just means, yeah, no new features. So I'm actually going to drop in the chat for anyone that's interested. I have open sourced the C# library that I built for myself to work with Godot. So I'll go ahead and send that in the chat. Hopefully it doesn't block me. One of my favorite things about this library that I built is using reflection to assign nodes. So instead of writing get node everywhere, I have this node attribute, and it just automatically detects based on the name what node it needs to assign to. So I can say node sprite here, and as long as there's a child node named sprite in the scene, it will be assigned to this. And you do have to call this.wire nodes somewhere, but I do that in the notification instance, so it basically happens as early as possible. And that is just super nice. So yeah, I invite you to check it out if you're interested in that. And I'm not following like semantic versioning on that thing at all. So I'm just like pushing new stuff whenever I want. There's no rhyme or reason to it, but it's a nice resource for people if they want to check it out. Okay, so when I change the die number here, I'm going to say sprite.texture is equal to, what is it equal to? Dice utilities.get dice texture die number. Oh, hey, what's up, Barji? What is up? What is up? I am making, so for the GMTK, the theme is roll the dice, and I'm basically making this little guy who has like a magazine, like a gun magazine, filled with dice that are rolled differently. And you shoot these at enemies, and instead of the enemies having traditional health, they have a die number above their head, and so you have to hit them with that die. That's basically the entire idea. I don't know if I'm going to introduce anything more mechanically interesting. I do want to do like a boss fight if I can get that done in time. But my plan is just to make it super, super, super juicy and crunchy, and that's it. I'm gonna... Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, what's up? I'm sorry I cannot pronounce your name. I can't read Russian. But what's up? Welcome. Oh yeah, what are you, so you're participating. What are you making? I'd love to hear about your idea. Oh, look at that. It looks like my dice are working. So we got number 2, number 4, 3, 4. All right. Sweet. All right, let's turn this speed back up here. Oh, what was the speed? 800. Oops, not 1800. 800. Cool. Let's commit that. It's a secret. Well, if you're on Twitter, feel free to DM me on Twitter with your entry, and I'll play it. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, good luck with yours as well. Now you've got me curious. I'm kind of regretting the fact that I did like 2 other game jams before this one, because it's it's a little hard to keep the motivation, but we'll truck through it. Let's start working on some juice already. Why not? Juice makes everything better. Actually, I wanted to start working on the animations. Off stream, I tried and failed to make a player animation. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to like cut out the head and the arms and the body and just animate those independently with like animation players or something. And I'm just going to call it good. Like what I did for Corpse Wizard was I just like rotated the guy as he was walking. So it was just a static sprite being rotated. I'm not going to do quite that, but I am going to do that for each individual piece of the player. And that helps me get around my programmer art skills. And also it can look really nice, I think, if it's done well. So you're making a 3D first person where you're in a room and there's a huge die in front of you. When you roll it, the die transport into another room depending on the die number cast. Oh, that's interesting. You assume, you assume that I'm a professional game jammer. You know what? I would love if that was my profession, honestly. But alas, I do not get paid to do that. So yeah, for that game, David. So are you thinking that the game would be played in sort of like a different order every time? So like, is each room going to have some sort of different puzzle or different challenge? And then every time you play the game, it's just like, it's kind of random what pathway you take through it? Or what other mechanics are you thinking of putting on top of that idea? Sounds very interesting. Should we do animations? Or the early stages of the jam are very difficult because it's like there's so much to work on that it's hard to think about what to do first. I do want to work on some sort of juice, I think. I'm going to work on the projectiles. I'm going to make those look nice. And just to give a little bit of a better idea of what's going on here. Firstly, I'm going to delete all these random dice that I put here. It's a platformer. You have to roll the dice to move between the rooms. Oh, I see. Okay, okay. Oh, okay. So I missed the part where the die goes with you. So it's like your little teleporter machine. Okay, that's very clever. Yes, I like that. I can definitely see how that would be really, really fun. Yeah, that's cool. I like that idea. So, and then yeah, and then the challenge is sort of like there's a meta challenge, right, about how you as the player have to remember what rooms correspond to what side of the die. I like it. Very cool. Yeah, rigid body, yeah. Are you So you're building this in Godot, I'm assuming? Godot 3, since you mentioned you didn't like or couldn't use Godot 4 earlier. Let's do some particles. .4. Okay. Cool. Yeah, Godot is becoming more and more popular for game jams. I'm seeing more and more entries every time I do one, and I love it. And with all that Unity fiasco that's going on too, maybe Godot will finally take over the world. We'll see. Time will tell. All right, I'm just going to make some particles, and if you all want to know how to make really nice particles, watch very carefully. All right, done. Actually, I will clean this up a little bit. Basically, what I like to do with particles is I just like to provide 3 different shapes, basically, that I can use. And then what you can use is the canvas item animation property, the particles animation property, to basically randomize which image is being used in your particle system. So that just adds a nice little bit of variety that I really like. And so that's why I kind of just make these blobby things. These might be too big though, so I don't know, we'll see. All right, first up, let's make the die trail. Well, actually, not first up. First up, I need to make the die not come out of the player's feet. Hello, Christopher. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Good to have you here. This is the biggest stream I've done in years. It's the only stream I've done in years. But yeah. Are you participating in the jam, Christopher? Is it... I have never seen that name pronounced or spelled like that before. So it's like Christopher. Am I doing the what you call it, emphasis right, or is it just Christopher? A little surprised. I should do more of these streams, honestly. You don't know yet? Yeah. Well, you can get a game done in 36 hours if an idea comes to you by, tomorrow or in a couple hours. Christopher? Okay, cool. Glad that I'm getting that right. Okay, so the die origin here is where the die is going to come out of. So... Oh, you did used to watch me on Twitch. Okay, interesting. I haven't... Wow, that was long ago. When did I stop doing those streams? I don't even remember. What did I call this? Die origin? Ooh, I'm feeling an early bedtime tonight. Shoot die. Okay, die is die origin, not global position. Origin.global position, thank you. And we want to do die origin, not get mouse position, or mouse direction rather. All right, let's see if that's fixed. So, all right, we now have the die coming out of the center of the player. Groundbreaking, groundbreaking. All right, so let's do some particles now. So the die projectile, what we're going to do is we're going to add a particle system. That's going to serve as the trail here. So here's the canvas material that I was talking about. So you do a new canvas item material, you turn on particles animation, and then you set it to the number of frames that you have. So in my case, it got 3 H frames, 3 horizontal frames. And then I can drop the texture into here. Where is it? There it is. Drop the texture into there, and then let's do a new process material. Okay, so yeah, it looks like this is actually going to be a good size. So then we're going to turn the animation speed to 1. Nope, not speed. Offset to 1 and the offset random to 1. And now you get a different shape every time it emits. Well, not every time, but it's random every time it emits. I'm actually going to save this canvas item material so I can just drop it in whenever I do more projectile, or more particle systems rather. Particles, canvas material. Okay. Let's turn the amount up. Time needs to go down to like 0.3 maybe. Maybe 0.35. Do a little bit of explosiveness. Turn off the gravity. Direction also will be off. Lifetime randomness, we might give it 0.5 there. Okay. I need to turn off the local coordinates. Okay. So now that'll happen in global coordinates. That's good. Now what I do is usually I just take the scale curve and I just make it appear in and then fade out. Just like that. Pretty simple. You can let it hang a little bit at 1. And so now if I move this around, there we go, got a trail. Let's turn the explosiveness down to 0.1. Yes. Writing a new function and forgetting to call it. Yep. I do that more often than I'd like to admit. But it happens. Sometimes IDEs will tell you when you have an unused function, and you can change how obvious that is. You can also, in some situations, like I write JavaScript every day for work, and so you will actually get like CI pipeline errors if there are unused functions, which is which is cool because then you can keep your code nice and clean, and it also catches, you know, if you do something stupid. Why is this? Yeah, we want to put that under there. Cool. Do I want to make this a different color at all, or do I want to just keep it white? Let's see what happens if I just keep it white. It's kind of ugly. All right, let's try fixing that a little bit. So let's turn down the explosiveness. Let's turn up the amount to like 25, and then we'll turn down the lifetime to like 1/4 of a second. Okay, and I think what needs to happen is this needs to actually, it does need to be a smaller scale. Okay, and what I also like to do just for some variation is I like to add some angular velocity and set it to max random, and then add a random angle as well. Not that it's going to be super noticeable in this instance, but it kind of helps. And I'm also going to turn down the emission to like 0.15 as well. Let's see how that looks. See, the problem here is that you can't really tell that it's a die while it's traveling. And I don't know exactly if I want to fix that or how to fix that. I'm going to turn down the emission lifetime even more. That trail is too long. Oh, I actually hit him with the one that he needed to die from. Oh, I think, is that hard-coded still? Let's see. It is check die hit die projectile dot die number. Okay, so now it should actually be using, I had it hard-coded to 4, so the enemies were all needed to be hit by number 4. Okay, cool. Let's put a couple more enemies around the level as well. Have it spin before it fires like a build-up. That's a good idea, yeah. Definitely there's going to be some player animations that are going to go into this as well. But yeah, I'm going to definitely keep that in mind as well. I think maybe what would help too is if I change the angle of this die projectile here. Oh, I got to make direction a property as well. So we're going to say direction equals value. Sprite.rotation is equal to direction.angle. So we'll just rotate the die in the direction that it's being thrown. Okay, that looks slightly better, I suppose. All right. Gosh, this feels so flat. Problem is I haven't done a lot of work with the player yet, but I really want to try to make the dice hit look really nice. Okay, so we got the particle trail. What needs to happen next is it needs to hit and then like bounce off the enemy. That's what I want to happen. It needs to hit and bounce off. And I think the easiest way to do that is going to be to do it in code. Oh, compile. Okay. Oh, did they just release mono or is it? Oh, so you just compiled the mono with it. That sounds like a risky play, but if you can pull it off. It'd be interesting to see. We were just talking about earlier how the Godot 4 alpha was kind of iffy in terms of being broken. It's the old mono version. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I don't really know what they're doing for the mono updates. I haven't really been paying attention to that. They're doing like an upgrade to .NET something. I don't even know. We're going to have a method on the die called die. Actually, we'll just call it kill because that's going to get very confusing. So I'm going to need to disable this collision shape as well. So let's make sure to disable that when we call kill on the projectile. So, oops, node collision shape 2D. So when we call kill, we're going to just disable the collision shape 2D. Okay, when we hit a wall, what's going to happen is it's going to call kill there. But on area entered, we need to do deferred because we're messing with a collision shape. That's one of the gotchas of Godot that a lot of people get hung up on, myself included, when I started using it, which is that you can't modify any of like the physics related things in like an area entered or body entered callback, signal callback for some reason. So we're gonna have to do call deferred. If I knew how to spell deferred, that would be wonderful. Okay, awesome. So what happens when we're dying? So when we're dying, we want to set, I'm just going to basically program some gravity into here. So we'll do some stuff with an animation player when it dies, but I want to basically change the direction that it bounces. So let's see. Call this vector2 kill direction. Kill direction equals vector2 dot up dot rotated mathutil dot rng dot randf range -45 to 45. Let's tighten it up a little bit. 25. What theme do you use in VC? I don't remember. It's called... Yeah, I don't remember. How do I look at that? Preferences color theme? Oh, it's called One Monokai. One Monokai. I don't know if that's too small. I'll write it in the chat. You can just, I think you can do... Yeah, I think... Is this the one? I think this is... Yeah, this is the extension that I've got. No. Yeah, that should be it. Yeah, I do like this one. I've tried other themes recently, and it's just like, nah, I gotta stick to this one. It reminds me of Sublime Text, which I used to use a lot before VS Code was a thing. Nice, yeah. Yeah, I like it. It's a good-looking theme. All right, so kill direction, vector2, so we're rotating. This has to be math f dot deg to rad because I need to work in degrees. Okay, so we'll convert that. So that's the kill direction. Actually, I could probably just call this kill velocity, and then we'll multiply by some random number like math util RNG to rand f range. Let's just do 100, 150, whatever. Something like that. Okay, so we got the kill velocity, so we're just going to add the gravity. Kill velocity plus equals gravity times delta. Is there something wrong? Oh, because it's not a vector. And then we're going to just say move. I actually don't want it to collide, so I'm going to set the collision mask here to nothing as well when it dies. All right, so when it collides with something, it will die, and then move and collide, kill velocity times delta. All right, let's see what happens when I do that. There we go. So do you see how it's kind of like, it gives a little bit of flare, like impact, like it just suddenly stops. That's actually turned out better than I thought, and I'm not even done with it yet. That's going to give it a lot of the impact that I need it to have. We add some squash and stretch to it, and it's just going to look, oh, just like the okay hand emoji, you know what I'm saying? It's just going to be pristine. Let's go ahead and add the squash and stretch right now. Why not? Animation player. I want it to like bounce and jiggle off the enemy, you know what I mean? Like it just hit it so hard. Like, you ever seen a golf ball in slow motion? Getting smacked, it just like compresses into basically nothing. So we're going to make a kill animation, and what we're going to do is, I love the reset tracks, by the way, that they just recently introduced within the past couple versions or so. Because I always ran into the problem of like saving a scene midway through the animation and then like wondering why my game was broken. This is very nice. So if I do my scale here, create reset track, boom. Okay, so when it impacts, we are going to immediately get it really like, the key with like squash and stretch is like, don't be afraid to just completely overdo it, because the player is not going to notice a few frames of it being like 2 pixels wide. What they're going to notice is the overall impact feeling. Yep, exactly, any key. Like I've found from doing a lot of game jams, if as long as your presentation is good, like your idea can be not that great, as long as it plays well and looks good. It's easier said than done, of course, but by far the most important thing is creating a good impression. And maybe that's true of full games as well. Like, you could probably fool somebody with how good your game is by just making it super flashy for a couple hours. But yeah, for game jams especially, people pop in, they play your game for like 3 minutes, if that. So just give them something that's like nice and fun, and that's it. That's really the trick. So that's why I'm working on the feel so early in this project, is because I'm expecting the feel to carry this game, honestly, and we'll see if I can execute on that. But This probably needs to be at 0.05. So it's going to do that. We also want to make it go up in the Y. So it becomes super stretchy. Oh, I already like this. I already like this. Then we're going to send it way back out in the X and way lower in the Y. Wait, did I do something wrong here? Oh, I changed the wrong one. Okay, we'll just switch these keys around. Okay, so now it's got to come back up. So do like 0.9 and 1.1. I also want to make it shrink over this time as well. Do I want to do that? I might need to make that squash and stretch even bigger, but let's see what happens. I also want to turn the particle emission off. There we go. So let's go ahead and play that animation when it hits. Where? Oh, wow. It is getting very hard to focus now. Animation player, animation player. Thank you, Dash Chala. Appreciate it. Juice is the name of the game. Should I just call this game Juice? It has nothing to do with the theme. Just call it Juice. So we're going to go ahead and play that kill animation when kill is called. All right, let's take a look at how that looks. Oh, wow, that's juicy. I do think the squash and stretch needs to be bigger, though. Also, they're getting ordered behind the enemy. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and fix... Oh. All right, I'm just going to do it in a hacky way really quick. I need to set up like a proper like level scene with every dependency that I need inside of it. But for now, what I'm going to do is instead of getting the parent, I'm going to get the parent of the parent and add the die to that. And that will guarantee that it renders on top of everything. There we go. Now you can imagine the enemies like getting hit back a little bit even when they don't die, right? And then like a nice thick chunky metal sound like you just hits like a hollow can or something. Or like not a hollow can, but like a half-filled can, you know what I'm saying? You just imagine that with these enemies. Yeah, I'm going to make that squash and stretch even more exaggerated, but first I'm going to commit what I have. So if I screw anything up, I can revert. I just lost... Oh, yeah, I'm going to increase the squash and stretch here, so I'm just going to crank this. I'm just going to go up to 2.5, like super, super big. Same deal here. Cool. Let's also just, before I forget, we're going to add a call method track. I love using animation players for this, by the way. If you have one-off particle effects that just need to spawn in and play and then disappear, you can do it all with an animation player. You set the animation player to autoplay. It'll set your emitting, whatever you need, to true. When your particle system is done, just add a call method track with cue free. And there you go. You've got a self-cleaning up scene. So you don't need to write any code for it. Just set it all up with your animation player, done. It's one of my favorite things to do for one-off particle effects. Worry-free particles, self-cleaning scenes. Okay, that's looking better. I still think it should be bigger though. I think like a scale of 2 needs to be my baseline here. So oh, and I also didn't turn on cubic interpolation here. That might help. All right, let's see what happens here. Exactly, yeah. You're reliant on the animation player for so many things. Yeah, it is very versatile, yeah. And absolutely got to chunk it up. If I do another stream, well, if I'm streaming at the point in time where I'm making like a screen transition, I can show how I do that with an animation player as well. Put a lot of these little tips in YouTube shorts. That's an interesting idea. Though I'm like somewhat of a boomer when it comes to technology, like the social media stuff. It's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I was under the impression that shorts was for like mobile. Are people watching like technical content on mobile devices? Or am I wrong that shorts is only for mobile? Like, is it for anything? Because that's a good idea. Like I've been doing, for those of you following the channel, I've been doing like Godot tips here and there. But yeah, that's a really good idea to do like a 60-second or less video just showing a self-cleaning animation player. Let me write that down. Thank you for pointing that out. All right, I'm just going to write that down really quick. All right, noted. I will be yeah, when I do videos, so the reason that everything's kind of hard to read on this stream is because I'm doing it for my ergonomics. Like I need more screen real estate so I can see more of what's going on. When I do videos, I do bump up the scale to like 125% in Godot. And then I also like zoom in at least once on VS Code, maybe twice. But in this instance, I'm trying to prioritize my productivity. So, but if you guys would prefer for me to make things bigger for the stream, I'll definitely think about doing that for the next time. If it's for mobile, don't like watching them on PC. Okay. I'm gonna have to do more research on that, but I do like the idea of making it short. Maybe it doesn't have to go in the YouTube short section. Maybe it can just be 60-second video, normal style on my YouTube channel. But cool. Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Thank you, David. For anyone watching who has also seen my latest devlog videos, I want to ask you, do you like that style of video where it's basically just like time lapse, here's what I did. It's scripted. Previously, like when I did the Mirrored Pawns one, I took actual clips of my updates and just stitched them together. But I've been trying to like script the videos instead to make them, I don't know, it makes them feel nicer. But I wanted to get anyone's opinion, if anyone has any, on that style. Trying to get back into creating more content and also trying to find like a way to reliably produce quality content. Teleport transform isn't working. Well, you've got, what is it, 40 hours, less than 40 hours. No, nope, more than 40 hours left to fix it. All right, so let's take a look at what I'm doing. Oh, you know what this needs actually? That looks too much like jelly now. I think what this needs now is like I need to add some angular velocity to this. When I add some angular velocity, I think it's going to be just fine. Okay. So it'll be a quicker fix. All right, so in the die projectile, let's just set like a random... something like a random angular velocity. And then angular velocity is equal to, what is it equal to? mathutil.rng.randf_range, and then what? We'll just do a range of -10 to 10. And then in here in the process, angular velocity plus equals, nope, not angular velocity, sprite.rotation plus equals angular velocity times delta. Let's see if that adds anything. I think it should. Okay. That is looking good. I just want to bump up this number. And please disregard the magic numbers everywhere in the code. Thank you. Actually, the angular velocity should probably be based on the direction that it's coming from, right? Does it matter? I don't think it really matters. All that matters is getting the effect across. Hard-coded values are awesome. I'm sure you have to deal with, I don't know, you said you work with C# and SQL at your job, right? Sounds like an enterprise-y environment. You dig the videos. Okay, good. Good to know. Informative and not overproduced. Excellent. Yeah, I would say that that's what I was going for, but mostly I don't want to... because there is a lot of game devs that I like to watch, but you can tell that they put a ton of effort into their videos, and I personally don't want to... If I don't have to, I don't want to spend an inordinate amount of time editing the videos. I want to make it look nice. I want to make it sound nice, but yeah. So I'm glad that you like the style. Feels like it's bouncing off the target. Cool. Yeah. All right. So I think, so that's kind of like a sneak peek of like what the juice is going to look like. Probably have some sort of short reload animation as well. Okay, so I'm liking how that's feeling. So let's put the projectile aside. More projectile juice. So I want to do the character animation now because this is something that's bugging me. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it, but I think it's something that I ought to figure out sooner rather than later. So let's go do surgery on the player. We'll take him apart. Do I want to do this? Let's create a bunch of layers out of him, I guess. So we got the head layer. Save this in an A-sprite format so I can preserve the layers. Okay, so the head, yep. Okay, and then the body. And we need to just, oops, that brush is way too big. There we go. Okay. So now we need to do the hands. Yeah, any key. That's kind of what I was getting at. Is like, I'm sure you work. Yeah, I'm sure there's magic numbers everywhere, and there's probably more than a few method names that are just exceedingly long, right? Which I actually don't mind exceedingly long method names as long as they're descriptive and not useless. Because I'd rather read the code than a comment. You know what I'm saying? Hard-coded email addresses. Yeah, we have that in the product that I'm working on as well, but it's a small company and the people whose emails are hard-coded still work there. So it's not a problem. But yeah, that's it's uh sometimes you just have to let it go and be like, whatever, man. Not my problem. Okay, let's export each piece of this little dude. Let's do the head layer, trim sprite, output file. I'm just going to create a new folder for all the player pieces. Head, export. Okay, let's do the body. Sprite does not update the preview properly sometimes. Okay, let's do the left hand. Also, it'd be great if there was a way to automate this. I think there's some sort of script that somebody made that can do this, but I haven't spent the time to figure out how to get it to work yet. Be nice if I could just say, hey, export every layer as its own file, trimmed, with the file name the same as the layer name. That would be perfect. All right. Goodbye, little boy. We're going to have to... Here's another trick, too, that I like to do. Whenever you have, like, visuals that are going in your node that are all related to each other, I like to put them under a single node 2D. And that way, if I need to scale everything or rotate everything, they all have a shared transform. And plus, nesting node 2Ds like this makes it really easy to mix animation players together. So you might have an animation player that's responsible for a squash and stretch of being hit, and you want that to be able to play while you're also like doing an animation for like the running, right? And so you can layer those two things together if you structure your scene correctly, and then you can have both. So there's another quick tip for you. Clip it. All right, Christopher, thanks for stopping by, and yeah, I'll be around tomorrow, so just hop in if you have some time. Write down your tricks, tips for the short. Yeah. Yeah, Sprite does have Lua scripting, I believe. I believe that's the case, but not sure. Is that a dab emoji? Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to call this node visuals. Add node, sprite. Sprite. So we're going to call it head. I really hope that this doesn't end up being a time sink. I mean, 48 hours. I've got till 3 p.m. in my time zone Sunday, I believe. So Basically, the game needs to be done like tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. Just guesstimating the numbers here. Excellent. Cool. So now my idea is basically like I'll just be able to animate the head like this, like a little cutout animation. And if I do it well, I think that it has the potential to be probably better than anything I could do with just frames, you know. Let me make sure that this... Okay, I think that's correct. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Let's do a sprite. We can keep the hands centered. Wait, is this my left? Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay. Is that how I had it laid out here? Yeah. Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right, our guy has been recreated. So I can probably do this with an animation player. Check it out. Watch this. Player, animation player. Okay, let's create a walk animation. I suppose we can start with the body. Do I want to start with the body? Yeah, let's go ahead. Transform, we're going to keyframe the position. We're going to keyframe the rotation degrees just so that we have those reset tracks. So that way if I screw anything up, I can always reset to my initial layout. Okay, so I guess we'll just rotate a little bit and then keyframe that and then up a little bit. Oh, this is already going to be super goofy. Wow. No, I think this needs to stay up a couple frames and then it can go down. Okay, so it goes up and then down, right, and then it needs to rotate again. Actually, does that... What happens if this loops? Let's see. Loop. Is that the animation already? Embrace the goofy, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I did. It worked out really well when I was making Corpse Wizard for the mini jam. It was just so absurd to see this little guy waddling around and then exploding in a pool of his own blood. And I just kind of like, it amused me, honestly. So I just kind of leaned into that and just made it just absolutely absurd. So I think I'm just going to do that with this game too. I'm just going to make it just goofy as possible. Not take itself too seriously at all, and we'll see what happens. Is this even a good animation? I don't know. I'm going to autoplay it, and then I'm going to go in the game and see what that looks like. Oh, it's so goofy. Actually, now that I'm looking at it here, it needs to be more exaggerated. So I think I wonder if adding a little bit of squash and stretch to this body piece as well would be useful. I think so. So when it goes up, we're not going to go overboard with it, but we'll give it a little bit of a... Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Let's see what happens. Actually, that doesn't look too good. What can I do differently here? Maybe if I make it go the other way. So if I make it stretch in the X and squash in the Y. Squish up. So it needs to squish up. Probably needs to hold that and then squish down. So up, down. That actually makes it look like the legs are actually moving. Look at that. Is that big enough on the stream? Yeah, I'm going to get to the head too. This is just like a quick test to see if that's going to work. And I think it's going to work. So I'm going to move on to the head next after I nail this body a little bit. It looks like he's actually running. That's amazing. I was not expecting that. Needs more stretch, though. Oh my goodness. It's just a static sprite and it looks like both legs are moving. Honestly, though, it probably needs to like flip, doesn't it? Because right now both legs are stuck on the same side of the body. So I'm going to write that down because I want to move on to the head and see how that's going to look like. But I want to see if I can make the legs like flip positions with the animation player. So let me write that down. All right, let's move on to the head. So the head, we are going to, let's just make sure that we're creating reset tracks for everything. Nope, not the offset. I just want the position, please. Yep. And then what else? Rotation degrees. So basically all the transforms. Cool. So this goes up. So yes, so the head needs to rotate. I said rotate. We'll just exaggerate it. Why not? Now, if I do this and make it, oops, -30 here. Should I move the head up and down as well? A little bit. And it's unbelievably goofy. That is, if you saw that guy in real life, you'd be infuriated. You'd be like, what is this? Oh, it's beyond dumb. It's beyond dumb, and I love it. So now, like I was saying with the visuals node, since these are all sharing the same transform, if I want to flip it so that the character can run the other direction, just apply a negative transform, and now he's running the other way. And that can be easily managed with code, that can be easily applied with another animation player, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so I need to do the hands now. And I think the hands need to be a separate animation player because I want, well, let me think. I want to have like an attack animation, and I don't know if just doing it with the hands is going to be enough. I think I might need to animate some of the body with it as well. So if everything's going to animate, I can just make it part of this animation. But if it's only going to be the hands, then I have to make that a separate animation player. So let me think about that a little bit. I'm going to go back to the body and see if I can flip the legs here. Should I just, what happens if I just apply like a flip H here? Where is that? Flip H, here we go. Create reset track. Insert key. I do not know if that's going to work. No, it needs to actually squash together. Okay, I got to restructure some of my animation here. Figured out the problem. Linear algebra was fine. 2 is the same as my from. Oh, yeah, tricky. That linear algebra, man, that's sometimes I cannot wrap, I can do the basic stuff, like the stuff that you do every day, but when it needs to get into the more complex linear algebra, I'm like, I get lost real easy. There's one problem I was having, which is I was trying to draw a line 2D based on a raycast, right? So you have the raycast, which is in global space, and it returns a global collision point. And then you have the line 2D, which is, you know, the points for the line 2D are in local space. And so I was just trying to draw a line from the origin of the scene, so the local 0, to the local position corresponding to, you know, or the global position in local coordinate space, right, of the collision. And for some reason that wasn't working. I was just getting really weird results, and I don't know what I was doing wrong, but eventually I just ended up doing everything global space and the problem solved. Don't need to do any transformations. But okay, Khan Academy. See, I had linear algebra in college, and literally we only got through one chapter the whole year because the dude like almost never showed up for class and taught the same like lesson several times. And so I barely got a linear algebra education in college. Take the inverse transform. Well, Godot has 2 local, which I thought was doing what I wanted it to do, which was, hey, take this global position that I have and convert it into local coordinate space for my scene. And that wasn't working. So maybe I did need to go a little bit deeper into doing the transformations myself. But I don't know. Okay, so I think from here to here, the scale in the X actually needs to become like 0.2, and then the Y is 1.2. Let's see how that looks. It kind of looks like the legs are switching now, but maybe I should just make the scale 0. Three blue, one brown. Oh, is that a YouTube channel? X-Form or Transform Inverse. Okay. I will keep that in mind next time I deal with that issue. No, don't worry about backseat. I love getting your suggestions. Squash and stretch for the head. Yeah, I think that would look really good. All right, David, thanks for hanging out. And thanks for tuning in. And yeah, thank you so much. Good night to you. And I'll be on sometime tomorrow. So if you're around, feel free to hop in. I don't know how I feel about this body switching animation, but it's easy to undo if I don't want to keep it. So let's go ahead and try the head here. All right, good night, David. Yeah. That's somewhat true, any key, but yeah, there are people out there that will they'll do something in public and then complain about it. And it's like, what are you doing? Right. I am 100% open to every suggestion. So feel free to drop them when you have them. All right, squash and stretch. Let's see. Do I want to go up first or squished first? Yeah, I have some position manipulation here on the y-axis here, but it's probably not exaggerated enough, so I'm going to up those numbers a bit. $1.1. So it goes 1, 1.2. Oh, man. Hey, FryDev, what's going on? Okay. I think that the head, it needs to go in the X direction a little bit because it's very obvious that it's just like rotating around a point. So I think maybe I should also send it forward a bit. I might have done those backwards. Let's do -2 here, 2 there. Oh my goodness. This guy has way too much confidence in himself. Probably make the squash and stretch a little bit more noticeable. What's the idea? Yeah, so the idea is basically you've got these queued up dice here that you actually shoot. And it's a 2D top-down shooter game, essentially, but instead of the enemies having traditional health bars, they have a die number over their head. And so you have to hit them with the correct die number in order to kill them. So you see I've got 3 4s queued up right here, which I think I'm going to fix. I think I'm going to put 1 of each. But anyway, so I've got 3 4s queued up so I can hit this guy, and then the rest of them I can't do anything. So still going to figure out a mechanic of like what the player can do when they literally can't use any of their die, or any of their dice rather. Geez, that plural is going to screw me up all night. But That's basically the idea. So you just got to hit them with the correct one that you've got queued up next. So, are you participating in the GMTK Jam Friday? If so, tell me your secrets. Tell me what your idea is. I can't get this squash and stretch right. It looks like the bottom left corner of this guy's head is like fixed to a point, and I'm trying to avoid that. So thank you. Yeah. You intended to participate? What happened is something happened, or did you just not have an idea or something? I know I've definitely skipped game jams before because I didn't have a great idea. Yeah, idea block. Yeah, the thing about the GMTK though that I like is that the ratings, it doesn't explicitly ask for people to rate you based on adherence to the theme. So I think you could probably get away with just building a game that you want to make and then seeing what happens, you know. It won't get featured in his video, but I don't think yeah, it's only 20 people, so not many people are getting featured in the video. Yeah, I'm really not a fan. I wasn't a fan of the roll of the dice theme, but I don't know. This seems to be a problem that I always have. Was like I'm never a fan of the theme, and so yeah, I just kind of have to like figure out something that fits loosely, and then I don't know. Some of the Ludum Dare themes are pretty cool. Maybe this should be -8. Okay, that looks better. Oh, this guy. I need to turn down this. There's still something awkward about the body animation. Oh, because it doesn't do another cycle before, so it flips right there. But then it just immediately flips back. So it's almost like I need to do another cycle of this in order for it to look okay. But also I don't even know if it's that noticeable. Out of Control or Joined Together are good themes. Yeah, those were good ones. Ah, yeah, Das Chala, that's exactly what I was just saying, yeah. Double the animation and do the same adjustment on in the other dirt too, yeah. So let's see. Duplicate. Oops. And then here, insert key. Wait. There we go. Oh, I gotta duplicate these as well. The one thing I don't like about duplicating animations, now it's twice the changes you need to make whenever you need to make a change to the keyframe. It's okay. Yeah, when I was trying to think of themes for Roll of the Dice, like I just couldn't think of anything except like board games and gambling and probability. And then he's like in the video, oh, try to think outside the box. It's like, well, you gave us dice. There's not really, you could come up with an unconventional use of them, I guess, you know, but I don't know. It does feel like the theme is designed to get you to think inside of a box. But maybe that's the point. Make it really hard to break out of the standard pattern of thinking. Dice fighting the player card empire. I did actually. So my initial early vision of this game was that the the dice would be the enemies, like they'd have arms and legs, and then it'd be the same sort of mechanic. And then I thought about making the player a playing card too, but I decided against that, and then I drew whatever this guy is. Whatever. There's still something off about this. I can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe it needs to go higher. The legs here. Oh boy, wait. Can I edit multiple keyframes at once? I can. Okay. I think I can. So that's all -2. Oh wait, no, I can't, can I? Oh, I can. Make it go higher. Yeah, I don't think that's going to help. Head anims aren't flipped. Oh, you mean do the opposite direction? Let me commit what I have. Because I'm about to destroy this animation, I feel. Same pull effect, but to the right instead for the second part. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you mean, because the head bobs back and forth during one cycle. So you're saying to reverse that? Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Oh, I gotcha. Okay. Well, now I'm really just screwing this thing up. Good thing I committed. -8, -8, -4. What? Hold up. That looks not good. Oh man. All right. I'm going to go back to the other version of the animation I had. So maybe if I did the same pull stretch effect when it bobs to the right as well. So it's bobbing to the right. Oh, I see. Because it's stretching differently. Hold on. I think the head position needs to go up. Am I wrong about that? Oh, that's not up. The head needs to go up when the body goes up, right? Eight. Oh, none of this is like cubic interpolated either. So I'm going to have to see if that looks any better with that. Okay. So same pull stretch effect when it bobs to the right as well. So we're going to the scale 1.4. So are you saying take this Y stretch here and apply it when it's on the right? Or the opposite where it squishes in the X? We'll play around with it. So like that. Let's see if this looks good. Okay. Maximum goofiness. I think maybe his head might be moving a little bit too fast though. So maybe I should actually like just keep it one bobbing cycle, but stretch it to fit the body animation, right? Let me commit. Oh, I love Git. It prevents me from needing to worry about screwing things up. So if I just basically like double the time between everything here. Okay. Okay. All right. It's coming together. It's coming together. Sweet. Okay, well, there's definitely more work to be done here. I do want to see what happens if I change like all of these to cubic. Is that going to drastically change the feel of this animation? I don't know, cubic or no? Git Control Z. You're living dangerously, friend. So that's a problem that so I realize that the randomness here in what dice are up next for the player can create situations where you're going to shoot like 10 dice and they're not ever going to be the correct one. So I'm probably going to bake in a little bit of like not really random logic to, you know, at least make some of them, some of the dice in the magazine, so to speak, dice that can actually kill enemies. Just because nobody wants to be a victim of purely random nonsense, right? So I'll probably just not really do random per se, but have like a heavy hand in it. Yeah, I don't know if cubic is the right thing. I mean, I kind of like it for everything else, but I don't know. Yeah, Exactly. You got to pray to RNGesus. If I just change the scale back to linear, what does that look like? I've burned way too much time in this animation already, but gotta make it look good. Gotta make it look good. Yeah, I think it looks better linear. I think this probably needs to be... This probably needs to be more exaggerated as well. Oh my. Oops, all juice. I don't know what I'm doing, dude. It's probably obvious to everyone that I don't know what I'm doing. But we learn. Yeah, give it to me. What's another thing I could try? The rotation degree for the body, 0.1 earlier. Rotation degree at 0.1 earlier, like 0.025. Oh, the head. Okay, okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah. So it goes to the 30. I see. Stretch it out that way and then also shift it this way. The rotation degree, right? Is that what you're talking about? So I shifted the... Wait. I don't know if I understood correctly. So it's got a keyframe 0 here, then it goes to 30, and then to negative 30. So do these need to be shifted toward each other or shifted towards 0? I see what you're saying. It needs to be like in a neutral position more. Keyframes for the body. Oh. Oh, no worries. There's work to do on the body too. Like, what if I could just copy like the key, like change the easing there to 2.46 so it stays and then it switches really quick. And then I'm curious to see if that same thing here. Oh, that has like no visible effect. Interesting. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, no worries. All good, all good. All right. Well, I think I'm just going to leave the animations as is for now. always something that can be revisited later. They are getting the point across. It's goofy, and yeah, tweaks can be done at a later point. I'm burning a lot of time on that though, so I think what I should do is probably move on to like an attack animation. Yep, pointers will do that to you. I don't know what Valgrind is though. Valgrind? Is that another computer science thing? All right, I'm going to see if I have the wherewithal to do some kind of attack animation. Actually, you know what I need to do is I need to animate the hands still. But let's do an attack animation first. So animation, new, attack. And what I want to do is just like basically just make the character's full body just go forward like really quick, like he's a mass of jelly, and just like make him jiggle real hard. You know what I'm saying? Oh, memory leaks, yeah. You have an idea that can steal lots of your time. Well, shoot. Let me have it. Let's see if it steals lots of my time. Oh, boy. So what I want to do is I want to animate the hands forward for sure. Instead of each dice in the magazine having a set value, it changes value every second. Guarantees that you can always injure an enemy if you wait and time it. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay. That might solve the problems that I think I might. I mean, I know that I'm going to have problems with this game design. It's just a matter of how those problems manifest and what the solutions are. And I think that that is a good idea, or some mechanism to change what's in the magazine. So I like that idea. The other idea I had as well was giving the player some kind of dash ability that was like, you know, like McCree from Overwatch. Is he still called McCree? I don't even know. Yeah, I do want to do a rolling animation for sure for the dice in the magazine. But I was thinking have like a McCree roll for the character. And now we're getting words confused where where the character like does a roll or a dash or something, and in doing so, that resets the magazine. It like reloads it with totally different dice. So it's along the lines of what you just said, but instead of it being a timer, it's controllable by the player. And plus, you get a movement ability too. Like that's just added to the player's repertoire of things. But the problem with that approach is that you may be rolling to dodge something and inadvertently re-roll your dice. So there's problems with that idea as well. So there's a lot of experimentation to do for sure, but we'll see. But I do like where your mind is going with that. Oops. No, that's good. Oh, these need to go like way farther out. Okay. And then we hold it, and then we can reset these back to their original positions. So this one's -7, -6. And then what is this one? 6, -6. Oh, wow, I am getting very tired. I want to finish up this attack animation, though. How do you hold? No, that's a quick ramp. I want a slow ramp. Yes. Excellent. So you attack, boom, reset, right? Now let's jiggle the rest of the body. That doesn't sound good, so I will try not to say that again. I want it to feel like everything's sort of going forward and then resetting, like there's been some power thrown into the throw. So the head position will go over to maybe like, oh, that's too far. But the head position will be like, boom, maybe even, and then reset over a longer period of time. Oops. Here we go. And then maybe, do we add some squash and stretch as well? The answer to that question is always yes. Ooh. That looks ridiculous. Okay. All right. See what I'm saying? No, that needs to be squishier. Oh, this is going to be so juicy. The hands need to also scale, so might as well just use the same scaling here. Super nice. Thank you, Dash-Chala. Appreciate it. The hands aren't as noticeable, so maybe I should bump those up like really hardcore. Oh, yes. Okay. So now I want to copy basically those keyframes for the right hand as well. Might as well just copy them. Oops. So what is it? 0.4 and 2.2. Okay. 1.5 and 1.8. And then 1 and 1. Sweet. Oh, wow. I have a feeling I'm going to need to bump up some of these numbers when it's actually in game, but for now, It's looking okay. And then the body, we'll add some squash and stretch to the body as well as some position changes. This is game dev, everyone. This is how the AAA studios do it. They just squash and stretch everything. I might as well just copy the same numbers for the head here too. No need to come up with new numbers if it's working well. And then we move the body along with the head. Position. Wish I could just, yeah, I wish I could just copy keys and move them to different tracks. I don't think that's possible though. Unfortunately. Not that I've found anyway. Oh, what? Oh. Might make the body reset its position faster than the head. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Actually, I wonder if that should... Now I'm wondering if it's going to be awkward that the player's going forward when they're shooting the dice. Shouldn't they be going backwards? That should be easy to change. It's just a matter of changing the positions. But... All right, let's see how that looks. So I'm going to wire up these animations, actually. So I'm going to take the autoplay off the walk. And then what I'm going to do is... I already have this attack state because what I'm going to do also is I'm going to slow the player down a lot when they're attacking to give it that oomph that I want it to have. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new method called private. Well, first of all, I'll just sync all those changes. Okay. Private void, enter state attack. In this state, I'm going to do a shoot die. So I'm going to get rid of this. Actually, I'm going to say state machine. Change state, state attack. And then what? I need to add an enter state here. This state machine implementation is in my Godot utilities repository that I linked earlier. So if you're wondering where the state machine is coming from, that's where. I just totally lost my train of thought. Right. Oh, I need a player animation player. Yes, state machine, yep. Yeah, okay. Player animation player. Player animation player dot play attack. Wow, that's ridiculous. Player animation player dot play. Too much. So in the state attack, what I want to do, I'm going to just add a timer because they're easy. I'm going to add a timer that's 0.15 seconds. That's one shot. and I'm going to say that's my attack timer. So this is the amount of time that the player will be in the attack state. Attack timer dot start. Oops. Why is that not recognizing that? Oh, wow. Okay. Attack timers dot. So if attack timer dot is stopped, we're going to change back to state normal. Okay. So my velocity component, what I'm going to do is I'm going to I have a speed modifier here, which I'll say is 1. So this is my velocity component. This is, I like to create a node component that contains all kinds of velocity calculations, acceleration, deceleration, things of that nature. And then I can just drop that into whatever entity needs to use some kind of movement capabilities. I like to combine this too with creating like a Pathfinder component that's responsible for finding paths. And then you can use those two together to like automatically follow paths, and you've got nice reusable modular code and all that stuff. Oops. Come here. So anyway, what was I doing? Right, so I'm going to add this speed modifier in here, which then I can use everywhere I'm doing max speed. So max speed times speed modifier. So I can just set this to immediately change how fast my max movement speed is. And then what I'm going to do in here, when I enter the state attack, I'm going to say speed modifier. We're going to put it down to like a quarter of what it typically is. And then when I leave state attack, so I need to add a leave state here. Add leave state, state attack. So when I leave the attack state, I need to reset that to 1. Okay. So state attack, change state, state normal. I guess I'll just copy paste this code. No one look. Okay, so got our state attack, which is basically the same. You'll still be able to move around, but your what you call it is going to be slowed. Your maximum speed is going to be slowed. Okay, so a couple of problems here. One problem is that this animation needs to be cut off at whatever time this is, 0.55. And the other problem is that when I call play, I want to do this. I don't think, yeah, so the animation player, it won't stop the currently playing animation if you call play again, so you need to manually stop it if it's playing. Okay, that speed modifier is a little bit too low, so I'm going to bump this up. That's still too low, so we're going to do 0.75. Why am I stopping completely? Oh, you know what? I'm stopping completely because I'm never calling move. Okay. Gotta love state machines, right? I still think it probably should be like 0.5 though. So you can move at half the speed when you're... The attack speed is probably a little bit too high, so we're gonna bump up the attack timer. Okay, and then the last thing that I'm gonna do is flip the player when the player's facing the mouse direction, right? So we've got this visuals node, which I can just change the scale of and everything will work. So let's go ahead and do that. So we've got node, private node 2D visuals. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a method called update facing. And it's just going to be, you know, visuals.scale is equal to new vector 2. Oh, I put a breakpoint in there somehow. New vector 2. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, if the get global mouse position dot x is less than global position dot x, then we're going to say -1, otherwise 1, and then 1 for the y. And then we're going to call update facing in both of those states. Now, if I was really fancy, I could make the hands rotated toward... Oh, that's not a bad idea, actually. I can make the hands rotated toward the mouse. Can I do that? Let me commit what I have. So what I can do in that instance is, let me think about this. I'm pretty sure I can just add like a node 2D here. Put the hands under it. And then the benefit is that, so if I rotated my node 2D here, let's just say up like this. Oh, is that not going to work? Oh, that should be fine. There will be a brief moment in time where it looks a little bit awkward. But, wait a minute. Yes, it is fancy, FryDev. Been working on animations for a while now, actually, so too much time, maybe, some might say. I think this node 2D needs to go up here, and then the hands, oh boy. So I moved that up by 8, so I need to add 8 to each of the hand positions in the Y. Hey, Runjin. Thank you so much. I'm glad you like it. Always happy to hear when people like the content. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. No worries if you if you didn't beat it. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you liked it. Swordslinger was really fun to work on. I don't know, one story about that is that the Godot physics system is not deterministic. So if you start a simulation with all of the same parameters, you will get different results sometimes when you run it. And that was a huge problem with Swordslinger. So I actually had to end up using a different physics system that was available as a NuGet package from the NuGet package library, whatever it's called, in order so I could have deterministic physics so that when you replayed your solution in Swordslinger, you would get the same result every time. So that was a really fun, like, just a little experience there. Kind of a interesting little thing. Even though you don't love the theme, the larger reason for you can't get ideas, you big slump lately. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. I mean, game jams are tough, man. Like it sounds like a first world problem thing, but they are tough. They're very draining, very exhausting, and it's really, really hard to stay motivated if you don't think you have a good idea. It really is. And so, I don't blame anyone for feeling that way at all. Lots of people can't even there's lots of people that have tried game jams and have never completed them, and that's just it's an unfortunate reality. It's tough. It's like it's like a mental marathon basically. I'm feeling, I think I mentioned earlier on the stream, I don't think you were here, Frydev. Maybe you were, but this one is going to be hard for me to stay motivated through, just because I've done so many small games in the past month. Well, it's only 2, but still. It's just very hard to not want to just chill for the weekend, But I didn't want to miss the really big game jam. I can miss the other ones, but the GMTK one, I missed last year's, which is a big reason why I really want to get this one done this year, because I missed last year's and I missed last year's simply because I wasn't paying attention. I was like, wait a minute. It happened and I missed it. Godot YouTuber Jam. Well, there are some people, Godot, you do little Godot tutorials. Regarding the Godot YouTuber game jam, there are people like Mrs. Who does that kind of thing. Like, what's it called? What's the series called? Like they do the one asset pack jam or something, and they make videos out of it. That's always pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure, gosh, I'm losing my train of thought, like super hardcore. There are Godot YouTubers that do jam type things regularly together, but I don't think that there's like a whole community-wide like Godot YouTuber jam. That would be really fun. I missed a few is's in his name. I know, man, I can't get it right. You just got to keep going on. Ms. is. Just keep going. Okay, so I think I've fixed. Now if I rotate this, is this going to give me the results I want? Yes. Okay, so we're in business. So I can move the hands in the direction now, which is great. So now I can actually do this. Yes. Just sound like an idling Honda. I have a Honda, an 02 Honda Civic SI. It's probably more information than you needed about me, but hey, there you go. Okay, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to get these hands pointing in the direction of the attack, and then I think I'll probably call it for the night because I'm starting to very much lose my train of thought. That's the other thing about game jams is like you have to know when to push yourself and when not to push yourself. Because like I could go, you know, until 2 a.m. tonight and then my productivity would be like drop like a rock tomorrow. And I don't want that to happen, right? So like you kind of have to judge. It really is like a marathon because you have to pace yourself. You kind of have to judge what you're capable of doing and also judge what you're going to be capable of doing the next day. And you have to balance those things, right? And so I'd rather, you know, stay semi-fresh tonight, come back energized in the morning, and then crush it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so I really like this new feature, by the way, access as scene unique name. That's so nice because then I can just go up here, node, percent, hands, private node 2D, hands, done. Okay, so when I attack, enter state attack, hands dot rotation is equal to this. Nope. Die origin dot get mouse direction dot angle. And then we want to reset this to 0 when we leave the attack state. Sweet. Oh, and now I'm running into the problem where, so this is a problem with doing like the nested style that I'm talking about here, which is that this transform now is being scaled by the visuals here. And so when I rotate it, that's going to cause a problem. Oh, anyone know linear algebra help? So how do I... So I want my hands, let's say, to be rotated this direction, right? In the fourth quadrant here. But there's a scale being applied to it where it's -1, so it ends up pointing the other way. How do I correct that? Do I just do a brute check and say, hey, if it's scaled, if the parent is scaled, then add plus or minus however many radians to the rotation? Is that the proper way to do it? Or is there a better way to like, I wonder if I could use like global rotation. Global rotation? I don't think that this takes into account the scale though. We'll give it a shot, I suppose. That did not work. And now his hands are up. Wow. What are you doing? Okay. That didn't work, so we're not going to do that. Why is his hands getting stuck up in the air? Oh, that's why. I need to offset this position as well. There we go. It looks great when it's not scaled. All right, I think I'm just going to have to detect the scale here. If visuals.scale is less than 0, then we are going to say hands.rotation. We're just going to pick a number. mathf.deg2rad. I suppose I could have just used pi, but that's okay. 2 tau, isn't that just going around the circle twice? Or am I missing something? Two tau is pi? Is that right? I thought it was 2 pi is tau. All right, I have no clue how to correct this hand rotation for the scale. I've done this before and I can't seem to remember. Oh, I don't know. I'm completely losing my train of thought here, so I'll just leave a trusty old to-do and handle that probably in the morning. Cool. All right, well, on account of me not being able to maintain a train of thought, I think that'll be it for the stream for tonight. So thank you everyone for hanging out. It was fun. We'll be doing this again tomorrow at some point, maybe in the morning, Eastern time zone, maybe sometime else. Fire belly, lally. Yeah, my name is pretty straightforward to pronounce. There you go. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for watching. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, keep an eye out tomorrow. I'll be streaming at some point. And good luck to everyone that is currently participating in the jam. So it'll be fun to see everyone's entries. All right. Good night, everyone, and see you tomorrow.